Hello, welcome to the Sideboard here at the Season 4 Invitational in Las Vegas. I'm Nick Miller along Sam Black. How you doing, sir?
Hey, it's good.
Always good to see you. You always got something sweet playing around with.
Yeah.
And, we got a flashback to, standards past. We've seen a Black-White Warriors before go super tribal, but you have a new take on it, that you've seen a couple other people play. Talk about why you're on the deck and, why.
Well, I just tried it after I saw that Joso took second at GP Kobo with it, and I like how it played. I was just impressed with its ability to just end a game before opponents really started doing things, and the card choices just made sense and the deck played smoothly, and so I just started playing it and was winning enough and it was fun and just kept playing it. And then a little while later I'd played 16 leagues with it and hadn't really played anything else, and I was like, well, I guess I know this a lot better than I know anything else at this point, so right. Here I am.
Before we dive into it, as a guy that pretty much created the Aristocrats and played it very well in those style of decks, why aren't you on a Rally type deck in the standard format? You're on this instead.
I think this deck is more like the Aristocrats than Rally is like the Aristocrats. Right. The Aristocrats at its core is a white-black beatdown deck. All
right,
and,
some similarities.
Rally is more, I don't know, more combo than I'm really looking for. It's fine, but honestly, I tried playing Rally, and I played a league on Magic Online with it, and I ran into one guy who held and letted me twice in one game, and I was just like, all right, if people are doing this, I can't do this.
All right.
Yeah.
So beat down it is. You got Mardu Woe Reaper, you got, Bloodsoaked Champion, Bloodchin Rager, we got all the beats here. Now, interesting thing is, back in the day, we saw these warrior decks, play with both lords. You have Chief of the Edge here, you do not have scale.
Right.
And then to talk about some of the other cards that are missing, you don't have Seeker of the Way or, some of the other one-drops as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm missing them. I have what I need. You're a beatdown deck, and basically Chief of the Edge, or Chief of the Scale potentially lets your guys live through combat, but not really. If you make your Bloodsoaked Champion have 2 toughness, it's still going to die whenever they actually block it. And also you just don't care if it dies. It's a Bloodsoaked Champion.
Sure.
And basically it's much better to play Bloodchin Rager and just avoid combat altogether rather than to try to be a little bit better against it. And the primary strength of Chief of the Scale is that it lets you live through something like a Drowning Sorrow that is just not a card in the format.
Right.
And it's not going to save you from Languish, and it's not going to save you from Radiant Flames. So it's not doing its job of protecting you from sweepers, and it's not the creatures in this format are so much bigger than yours that it's not winning creature combat, and so it's just a worse Bloodchin Rager basically.
Of course, we got one Gideon hanging out in here. One Kithian that turns into a Gideon. And then I want to talk about Mardu Shrike Leader. This card didn't see a ton of play in the previous builds we saw, previous standard.
Yeah,
this seems very good.
I think the first time I saw it was Saito playing it in mono black human aggro. I've been very impressed with it. There's not as much just cheap instant speed removal in the format as there was when BioBlight was legal, and a lot of I'm surprised by how often I can just play it and it lives, and if you have that in a Bloodchin Rager, it just kills them really fast. And the ability to have it be a flexible 3 or 4 drop is really good. And also there are a lot of spots against Mardu type control attrition decks where you can just wait until they tap out for a sweeper, or get them or tap out for a creature, and then you kill it at the end of their turn, and then dash and get a 2/1. And as long as you don't expose that body, it can just be a reliable source of card advantage. As long as you're willing to be really patient with it, right. Which in those matchups I am.
Awesome. Now, of course, we also have this kind of Wasteland Strangler combo here with Silk Wrap and Stasis Snare, which allows
Mardu Woe Reaper. Yeah.
Something a lot of people won't see, being able to grab creatures out of the graveyard, put a card in exile, can turn on the Strangler as well. Is that engine all it's cracked up to be?
Yeah, it's really good. It also helps that not a small portion of your opponents will delve. The best is when they just have to play an Abbot of Carol Keep on 2 and just exile something, and then you're like, all right, Wasteland Strangler, kill the Abbot.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. When their Abbot turns into card advantage for you, it's a really easy way to win a game.
Yeah. You got some Murderous Cuts and Valor Stance as your removal spells. You got a couple more in the sideboard, which we'll talk about, along with your exile effects. Yeah. And then Gideon here kind of tying it all together.
Yeah, he does a lot of snap emblems, but is also just a good way to get back at, basically this deck just falls apart if it's ever not ahead, and he's a really good way to go from my opponent played a sweeper, I don't have anything, to all right, now I have a threat and a planeswalker and I'm back ahead on board, and now I can just keep doing my game plan, whereas following up with just another creature or something, it's just too easy to lose position.
Right. Too easy to get one for one and then you're back to nothing.
Yeah. He also works really well with a transformational sideboard into either a grindy deck with Mastery of the Unseen, Secure the Wastes, or the aggro control deck that's kind of in that similar space.
Yeah, we'll shift to the sideboard now. You mentioned that you have an extra Gideon, and then of course you have the Secure the Wastes, Mastery of the Unseen package.
Yeah.
Kind of allows you to get this grindier version of this deck.
Yeah, against people who have a lot of removal or good blockers, I often just cut my Warrior Lords, my Chief of the Edge and Bloodchin Rager, and just go 1 mana threats that will get in some hits before they kill them and just occupy them, while I just play removal spells and counter spells and set up for a long game where I just win with my non-creature threats, Gideon, Mastery, and Secure the Wastes.
Right. Seems a really versatile way to play this deck.
Yeah.
Of course, you have also some counter spells, Dispel, Disdainful Stroke, got a little mono red hate in here with the Ration Cleric.
And Ultimate Price, also very good against mono red. Secure the Wastes, good against Goblin tokens.
Yeah. So you kind of got those angles covered. Now, the worst deck to play against, 4-color rallies, you say?
Yeah, 4-color rallies kind of a nightmare matchup. You might think that having Mardu Woe Reaper gives you some play, but honestly, they're using the graveyard isn't the thing that they're doing that beats you. The problem is that Catacomb Sifter, just that card by itself, is so hard for a deck full of 2/1s to attack into, and your big trump is Bloodchin Rager, but it gives them 2 blockers.
Right.
It just gets you in every direction, and then when they have Collected Company to find more of that, it's just
too much to wade through.
Yeah, just their natural creatures are so well positioned against you, and Sidisi's Faithful, the fact that they can get on board starting on turn 1 in a way that's stopping you from getting the early hits in that you need, it's just a real problem.
Right. Well, of course, you make up for that by having great matchups against a lot of the controlling decks, right?
Yeah, and I'm hoping that there will be enough Esper control decks with a lot of counter spells to prey on the rally decks, and then Esper control decks with a bunch of counter spells. All right, you have a 3-mana counter spell up. I have 2 or 3 creatures in play. What are you doing?
Yeah. All right, well, the deck looks great. It seems your style, again, calling back to Aristocrats, a little white-black beatdown. So thanks for joining me here in the sideboard. Stay tuned to StarCityGames.com all weekend long for the action here in Las Vegas.